Okay, so welcome everyone to our group meditation practice, our gathering for meditation. When we show up for meditation, it's really just like we are showing up to a place that we have never been before. So in doing that, you can expect to find a sense of newness, a sense of freshness, a sense of walking into the unknown. Because most of the time in our life, we are kind of pretending that we know what's going to happen next. We are making plans and looking back at particular things that have happened, and we're seeing through this kind of small lens, this limited perspective. But when we show up for our meditation practice, we open up not only to our perspective, but to all aspects of our experience at this moment. And that can be a little bit difficult. It can be a little bit unsettling, but that's all right. It's good to be unsettled. It's good to have this experience of facing and being with whatever we feel, whatever we experience at this moment in our body or mind. So I think today we will start with a reading, and then we will get into our meditation practice. But even before that, does anyone have any questions that are at the tip of their minds or the tip of their tongues? Anything important to bring up? Okay. So we're going to read from a collection of teachings today from my teacher, Sayadaw Ashin Ottamatara, who is a Buddhist monk from Myanmar, and he is a monk that prioritizes doing good deeds. So he has his organization is called Tabarwa, and he has Tabarwa centers all over the world that, in a similar way to the Buddha, accept anyone, whether they are sick or poor or mentally ill or physically ill, whether they are skillful or unskillful. The master, he accepts them to come and live at the Tabarwa center, at the meditation center, the temple. So this is a teaching that he gave on November 10th, 2015 at the main Tabarwa Center in Thanh, Myanmar. And at this main Tabarwa Center in Thanh, there are over 3,000, over 4,000 people living there. And they are able to receive shelter and food and health care and resources, all according to generosity, all from making merit, from doing good deeds, practicing mindfulness and detachment. So the teachings that we'll be listening to here don't just come from a philosophical place or an intellectual place, but they come from a real lived experience of practice and of doing good deeds. So we will all be quite fortunate to listen to these teachings and to kind of be invited to open up to another dimension of our experience, another dimension of our mind. All right. So this teaching is entitled Limitless Election. Limitless Election. One, place emphasis on what should be done. While practicing meditation, place emphasis on what should be done rather than on what we are doing. How we are doing or how we practice meditation is much more important than what we are doing. Now we are in the meditation hall, and so we are all performing the same task of practicing meditation. In Buddhism, we call this practice of meditation bhavana, which means cultivation. Cultivating the field, planting the good seeds, the skillful seeds in our garden of our life. Each and every one must try to do what they really should do. So we show up here, we come here to do what we really should do, which is what? It is to face this moment, it is to be mindful, it is to be present to our direct experience at this moment, it is to cut out all the nonsense, all the extra stuff, the greed, the anger, the negative thinking, the complicated thinking, the stories that we are telling ourselves. Now is the time when we should to refresh, restart, come back to this moment, this present moment, and we can do that through focusing on our breath, focusing on our body. We must not practice meditation according to our own personal understanding and desire. We are each carrying out the same task of practicing meditation, and likewise trying to be able to use the same method of doing what we should do. So this is doing good deeds. This is to be skillful. This is to show up to what is happening at this moment. To be aware. To be fully and completely aware. Not through your personal perspectives or ideas or judgments, but through awareness itself, through experiencing itself. So try to enhance your ability to do what should be done, which is to do good deeds in the right way, on your own, without the help of meditation teachers or others. So we should to practice to do good deeds, not relying on others, not relying on the ideal situation, but doing good deeds at this moment independently. Practicing meditation at this moment independently. Not relying on the help of anything outside. Making the right choice. We meditators normally pay attention to the meditation methods, and in the end we become satisfied with this method or that method. Thus, clashes occur between meditators who are using different methods, or we can even find ourselves to be in conflict about which meditation method is the best, which is the right meditation for me. Placing central emphasis on the method or how to practice is choosing based on our preference and paying attention to our intelligence and ability, which are not complete. Intending to cultivate new intelligence and ability, I ask the meditators to do what they should do. So what should you do at this moment? And we have to find that out for ourselves without really relying or attaching to anything outside. Maybe you shouldn't to be in this group meditation. Maybe you should be doing good deeds in a particular way. So, intending to cultivate new intelligence and ability, I ask the meditators to do what they should do. Doing like this or doing like that is just emphasizing the action of doing what we are told, without having a chance to think. Practicing meditation means trying to have right understanding or insight wisdom, so to develop a more complete and direct understanding of what is happening right now. To develop an insight into the truth. And this truth is not a story or a belief. It's not something that someone else can give to us. It's not something that depends on our belief, but the truth is the truth. And so doing what we should do is to investigate the truth, to develop new intelligence and ability. Thus, having the right understanding or insight wisdom while practicing meditation is more important than the method we are using. Actually, choosing to practice meditation is the right choice. Again, accepting the right concept of doing what we should do is indeed the additional right choice. Try to abandon the idea of paying attention to our desire, our intelligence, and our ability by accepting the idea of doing what we should do. So you can imagine the difference this would make in your own daily life if rather than thinking so much, relying so much on your intelligence, relying so much on your abilities, you instead accepted the idea of doing what you should do. And so all of your intelligence, all of your ability, all of your whatever it is that's up in that mind of yours is simply applying to doing what you should do more and more. Choosing to practice meditation is the right choice. And accepting the right concept of doing what we should do is indeed the additional right choice. Try to compete. Now listen to this. Try to compete. Kyle, you like this one, right? Competition. Try to compete. Try to train for. Try to overcome. Be the best at. Try to compete for the right attitude, the right action, and the right capability. Not to compete with each other for victory. Giving priority to our greed, that is our excessive desire to keep for ourselves, to get for ourselves, our anger, that is this kind of fire and rage that comes about because we are unsatisfied that we are not the God of the world, right? Something doesn't go our way, something doesn't meet our expectation. Someone has a different mind than we do. We become so furious, right? So angry. So giving priority to our greed, anger, and delusion. Delusion is like a negative thinking or non-practical thinking. Causes problems amongst those with defilements. So that means those aspects of yourself that are selfish, greedy, attached. Adhering to our incomplete knowledge causes different ideas to appear between people and leads to disagreement about who is right, as in, I am right or you are right. This is why people with different abilities are competing for victory with the idea that I can beat you or they can beat me. We should not to compete with one another, but for the ability to do what we should do. So we should compete. We should engage, we should express ourselves, involve ourselves in competing to find this way of doing what we should do. This is what kind of competition we should be involved with, to do what we should do more and more and more. We should not compete with each other, but rather we should compete for the ability to do what we should do. To do what should be done. This is the effective way for both competitors to improve speedily, quickly. During the meditation sessions, try to compete for the ability of doing what should be done with meditation teachers and with your fellow meditators. So we aren't competing with each other, but we are competing to do what should be done. What is really in competition is the ability to do what should be done with the ability of doing worldly affairs in the habitual way. Okay. So what is really in competition is the ability to do what should be done with the ability of doing worldly affairs in the habitual way. So we are usually going about doing worldly affairs in a habitual way. I like this, I don't like that. I go this place, I don't go that place. I desire this, I fear this. And so just out of habit, we are doing all kinds of things that don't need to be done, shouldn't be done, but we just do them because we have this sense of desire and attachment. So what kind of competition we really need to be involved with is to focus on the ability to do what should be done, rather than losing to the ability of doing worldly affairs in the habitual way. We shouldn't just be creatures of habit. We should be humans who are focusing on doing what should be done at any given moment. We need to hold this kind of competition not only with fellow meditators, but also with our meditation teachers. We need to abandon the habitual action of carrying out worldly affairs and try to compete with other meditators for the ability of abandonment. So to compete with other meditators about this ability to detach, to let go, to put down, to be more and more fully just sitting, just breathing, just being aware. If there is no competitor, we need to have a competition between the capabilities that we had before and capabilities that we have now. Trying to abandon our habits is trying to enhance the power of abandonment. So trying to abandon our habits, trying to detach from our habits, trying to detach from our monkey mind, constant desire, constant fear. Trying to abandon our habits is trying to enhance the power of abandonment, rather than increasing the power of carrying out tasks or actions in the habitual way. This is the practice of trying to gain the abilities that we don't have yet, and trying to enhance the abilities that we already have. This is not energy meditation, which accepts that the real truth is only energy and ability. In fact, this teaching is about how to use the ability that we already have in the right way, and acquiring the abilities that are really needed. Most of the people in the world are pursuing worldly success and pleasures, such as money, career, food, health, and education, and accepting the concept that those worldly actions are requirements. Rather, try to accept the fact of the necessity of being able to do what we should do. So try to accept the fact of the necessity of being able to do what we should do. It is necessary that we be able to do what we should do. Now, certainly, someone must have a question if you've been following along. Anyone?
My father had a question, but I didn't want to disrupt you while you were talking,
Okay,
so
go and
walk
get
away.
him. Go and bring him back.
Are
Tell
you
him it's
sure?
important.
He's
Yes.
a very he's a very
Go and get a hold of him and bring him here.
I feel like you'll regret what he might have to say.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
I'm getting him.
So, a very simple teaching of doing what we should do rather than focusing on emphasizing and doing, acting out our habitual tendencies, our habitual desire, and what we like to do, what we desire to do, instead, doing what we should do.
I
And
have a question.
yeah, Riley,
Sorry,
go
go ahead.
ahead. Yeah.
I was just wondering, you were talking about abandoning, and that if we abandon things, then it will cause more abandoning, something along those lines. And I was just thinking, like, as far as like negative habits, so let's say you drink or you do drugs, if you're abandoning that habit, that would be seen as like a positive thing, right? So I'm just curious, like, you.
We practice to abandon those ways of doing things habitually. So, in doing that, we develop this ability to abandon more and more. The Buddhist idea is that it's not just these things that lead to pain that need to be abandoned. It is also our attachment to the things that lead to pleasure that need to be abandoned. And this ability to abandon, this ability to detach, is an ability to be free in any given situation. Because the truth is the truth of ever new impermanent nature. The truth is not a political truth. The truth is not a truth about me or mine or you or self or other or person or place. The truth is ever new impermanent nature. Everything is impermanent. Whatever we experience, whatever arises, is sure to pass away at any given moment. So the more that we are attached, the more that we set ourselves up to find failure. Even in success, we will find failure because we are attached. The more that we can abandon, the more that we can detach, we can find success in both failure and success from this place of abandonment and doing what we should do.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I had it confused. I thought you were saying abandoning was a bad thing, but this makes a lot more sense.
Yes, we need to be prepared to be confused because we have spent a lot of time being involved in created truths. And so when we start to look at and we start to bring up the absolute truth or the actual truth, this is something that we are going to be confused about. And this is good in that sense to be confused because you're almost kind of experiencing an abandonment of your normal way of thinking, your habitual way of thinking. Okay? I think someone had a question. Levi, are you ready to ask your question?
My dad actually liked a lot of the things you said right then and there. When whoever was asking that question, we answered. He was saying he was talking out loud, like agreeing with everything you had to say, and he wants to hear what you have to say even more. He's
Okay.
really right now.
So we will continue on our path of abandonment and looking at the truth. Anyone else have a question about what we've read up to this point? Okay, so we can continue here, especially this idea of doing what we should do, right? And even that premise, that idea, that guidance to do what we should do is very different from our habitual worldly way of doing things, right? We are habitually, oh, that looks like it tastes good, so I'm going to chase that down. I'm going to look for that. I'm going to try and get that. That looks like it will be difficult, like it will be painful or not enjoyable. So I'm going to try and avoid that as much as I can. We can directly know right away as we hear these words about doing what we should do that it is essential to live like this and to act like this, to act out from this place of doing what we should do. And we can also clearly see that acting out from our habitual tendencies, it has nothing to do with doing what we should do. So we need to empower this ability to abandon, to detach. Okay, and we do that by doing what we should do.
Sir, I do have a question.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. This is Levi's father. So I kind of heard you earlier talk about we should do what we should do. When you say stuff like we should do what we should do, what exactly do you mean by that?
No one else can tell it to you. No one else can explain it to you. If we don't know what we should do, then we can't do it. But if we can look closely at what we should do, then we can do it. But to do that, we have to detach from our habit. We have to detach from our monkey mind, our craving mind, our fear mind, our desire mind.
Right.
And we need to question, to investigate, to ask ourselves, what does that mean? What should I do? But you don't even bring it to that point because you don't have to ask a fire if it's hot. You touch it and you know that it's hot. Doing what you should do is exactly that. And that's what we should do.
That actually makes pretty good sense. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. And we thank my teacher, Sayadaw Ashin Otamasara. These are his teachings here. So we'll go on to the next section here. Applied morality for the general public. Abandon habitual actions. And this is kind of a bit of a guided meditation instruction, so you can follow along here. Okay? Let's do mindfulness insight meditation. Sit in a comfortable posture. Keep your head straight up. Keep your body upright, firm, but without any tension. Sit up straight. Don't hunch your back over. Don't slouch. Don't bend your body forward or sideways. Don't let your body weight sink down on the ground. So sit upright. Don't let the weight of your legs and arms sink down on the ground. Try to float and sit upright. Close your eyes gently, without any force or tension. Let go of unnecessary tension in the body and mind. Please be calm, quiet, and mindful. Relax your mind and body. Abandon your habitual actions. Do not follow your craving, desire, and perception. Try to detach from all your desire craving, and perception. Be mindful and just know the present happening. Do only what is necessary. Just be doing only, without attachment to what you are doing. Sitting only, breathing only, being aware only. These actions are required of every practitioner. You must be able to practice contemplation, individually or with your fellow meditators or others, with or without the guidance of a teacher, at the meditation hall or in your individual homes or places of rest. Even while you are traveling, you must be able to practice contemplation, samatha and vipassana. That is to calm and settle your mind on one point. That is to investigate the arising and passing of phenomena, moment by moment. You must be able to practice contemplation at any location or destination, at any moment. The crucial point here is to avoid placing emphasis or importance on the different situations. Instead, to put your emphasis and importance on doing the right thing, which is doing only, using only, experiencing only at any given moment. Always strive to do only what is necessary to do, and then to do it sensibly, accurately, and truthfully. This doing only is to just do. No added ideas about self and other, no added ideas about right or wrong, good or bad, but doing only, using only, experiencing only. Always strive to do only what is necessary to do, and then do it sensibly, accurately, and truthfully. Doing the right action, such as striving for the power of the right attitude, the right action and the right aptitude, to surpass the opposition party of each, can be considered as participating in the Dhamma election. So we are competing, we are voting in a Dhamma election. We can either do what we should do, or we can do what we have the habitual tendency to do, acting out our desire. So doing the right action, such as striving for the power of the right attitude, the right action, and the right abilities in each situation, is exactly to surpass the opposition party of each, So the wrong attitude, the wrong action, the wrong aptitude. This can be considered as participating in the Dhamma election, the election of the truth, or the election of the right way, living in the right way. The monks and nuns and meditators are carrying out the tasks of abstaining from evil deeds, practicing good deeds, and keeping the mind pure, right, and noble. These are necessary qualities for ourselves and others. These can also be considered as doing the right actions for the dana, sila, and bhavana Dhamma election. So dana is generosity, sila is morality, and bhavana is this cultivation, this development that we're practicing now. In order for us to be participating in the Dhamma election, this is the truth election or the skillful ways and means election, we must steadfastly strive to abandon our habit of carrying out tasks with greed, or according to imperfect, incomplete, and limited understanding, or based on our superficial and limited knowledge. So when we carry out tasks, when we do good deeds, when we carry out a task, doing what needs to be done, what should be done, whatever it might be, we need to strive to abandon our habit of doing that task with greed, but also with a imperfect, incomplete, or limited understanding. That means we aren't going about our tasks in this vague or general way. We're going about the tasks in this way of doing only, using only, showering only, not this general vague understanding of past and future, me and mine, self and other. It's just to shower. It's just to offer. It's just to help someone wash themselves. A lot of people can't even wash themselves. So doing only, not with this added layer of understanding or belief or ideas. And also not based on our superficial or limited knowledge. So when we are carrying out tasks, we should do only, and we should not rely on a superficial or limited kind of knowledge. Okay? Instead, we must relentlessly strive to represent right understanding, that is, original truth or absolute truth, such as there is no I or you or man or woman or person who is carrying out tasks. There is no I or you or man or woman or person who is taking a shower. But instead, only the body and mind are carrying out the tasks. Only cause and effect is taking place. Where is this I? Where is this you? Where is this man? Where is this woman? Okay, any questions? Questions about where we are so far? Be mindful on the breathing and detach from other sensualities. Breathe gently, naturally, and freely. Be mindful and focus your attention on your breathing. Detach your mind from various external sensualities and internal phenomena and focus solely on the present happening of the breathing. Okay, so we can all try that for a moment. Breathing gently, naturally, and freely. mindful and focused attention on the breathing, detaching the mind from external stimuli and internal phenomena, and focusing solely on the present happening of the breathing. So we can really do it, but we need to start to abandon more and more this habitual tendency, desire and fear and like and dislike. We need to empower our ability to abandon. Okay? We can do it. It's just a matter of prioritizing it, developing it. While concentrating on the breath, prevent your mind from wandering off into the past and future, which are merely shadows. Detach your mind from past and future happenings. That is to give up, that is to abandon your involvement with these past and future happenings, possible or not. Be mindful to the arising and disappearing process of the present moment happenings. So all of these present moment happenings, whether it's a person or place or situation or twitch or certain tension as we breathe, be mindful to the arising and disappearing process of the present moment happenings. All of them are, if they arise, they are all to disappear. They are all to vanish. This is the truth. This is the original truth rather than the created truth. And we are all experiencing this regularly, right? What were you doing 5 minutes ago? Where is the taste of kombucha? Where is the food you ate yesterday? Well, you don't want to go looking for it. So we need to practice to abandon our habitual way of attaching to these past and future happenings. We need to instead be mindful to the arising and disappearing process of the present moment happenings. Be mindful and just knowing, or knowing only without attachment. The ever-new impermanent nature of forms, feelings, perceptions, inclinations, especially mind and body. We call them nama and rupa. So this nama and rupa, this mind and body, mind experiences, body experiences, these are imbued with this ever-new impermanent nature. Whatever arises is passing away. Ever new impermanent nature, ever new refreshing and restarting is taking place. Now, do not misunderstand the mindfulness breathing as your inhalation, exhalation, and breathing. Strive your best to walk on the right path, even when you do not have one to lead you. Okay? Do not misunderstand the mindfulness breathing as your inhalation, exhalation, and breathing. Don't misunderstand anything as your thing. It is nama and rupa. It is body and mind arising and passing away at this moment. It is causes and conditions coming together and passing away at this moment and at any given moment. Abandon the habit of doing things deliberately and insistently. Okay? So doing only, using only, ready to abandon, ready to detach, ready to put down what you pick up at any given moment. While practicing truth contemplation step by step, try to abandon your habit of doing things deliberately and learn to do things naturally. Okay? Learn to do things according to nature. I have noticed this bad habit in some of the yogis of doing things deliberately and forcefully according to their beliefs and likings. So this word yogi is someone who takes the, we can say, the meditation practice and says that, okay, this is what I want to live my life according to. Not a part-time meditator, but a full-time yogi. All right? That's the meaning of that. So I have noticed this bad habit in some of the yogis of doing things deliberately and forcefully according to their beliefs and likings. They tend to have strong grasping, as in they cannot accept other people's teachings. They follow their beliefs, knowledge, and assumptions. They do what they want to do when they want to do it. They do not listen to anyone but themselves. They think that only their view or concept is right, etc. And I'm sure all of us know someone like that. And that would be ourselves a lot of the time, right? One of the best examples is the late Siale Mudita from Malaysia. So the Sayadaw is giving an example of a nun who passed away, and we call nuns in the Burmese tradition Siale. So one of the best examples of this is the late Siale Mudita from Malaysia, who firmly believed that she had been bewitched by a powerful wizard to the extent that no one could undo or cure his black magic. She refused to accept anything except her firm belief or assumption, and refused to abandon this harmful grasping. No matter how severe was her grasping, we tolerated it as much as possible and allowed her to live in Tabarwa Center until she breathed her last breath. As such, her other attachments and grasping were gradually reduced, and she was able to endure the severe pain of her chronic illness. Some yogis have this kind of unshakable faith in their wrong concepts. And some are also deliberate, insistent, and forceful in getting what they want for themselves. In contrast to your opponents, you must strive to abandon these misconceptions, and also strive to carry out your actions naturally and amicably. This is the real way to become a victor. So this is to do our actions according to the truth, the original truth, rather than holding on strongly to a created truth of me, mine, this is the right way, that is the wrong way, things need to be like this. We need to be ready to abandon. We need to be ready to give up our strong attachments. On top of that, learning to carry out tasks the way others do. I have to strive to carry out tasks without restrictions and for doing only. Also learning to teach Dhamma and give discourses the way others do. I have to strive to teach freely and for teaching only. Likewise, all of us must participate in this Dhamma election by concentrating on what is necessary to do. Choosing for the original truth, the absolute truth of ever new and permanent nature especially, and taking refuge in the true Dhamma. Okay, so that's what we're going to read for today. Does anyone have any questions or sharing about what we read? I know that it can be quite a multifaceted jewel of wisdom to accept, but the main points are to do only, to use only, to experience only, to emphasize doing what we should to do, doing what should be done rather than doing what we desire to do, or doing what is just comes along according to our habit, to our attachment. And in any given activity, we should do naturally and amicably. We should not hold on to strong ideas or strong beliefs about what is right or what needs to be done, or it needs to be done in a certain way, but we should do things naturally in a way that is easy to cooperate with. Do things in a way that is amicable. We should do with abandonment, with detachment, ready and willing to abandon. And when cravings arise, when desires arise, you detach from them. Even if you fall into them, you detach, you let go. You crave only, you drink only, and then you abandon that. You move away from that more and more. Okay? And if you do find yourself to be drinking, or if you do find yourself to be falling into this habit of desire and sensuality, you do so without this extra layer of a self, of a you, of an I. And you just understand that it's nama rupa, it is body and mind, mental and physical factors taking place, expressing themselves according to cause and effect, not according to a self or an other, or a you or an I, or even a person or a place. Okay, so take a moment to stretch out if you need to. Make sure that you're comfortable and not in a lot of pain. And we'll finish today with some Buddhist chanting. Okay, so we can all bring our hands together and we will chant. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangam Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyampi Sangam Saranam Gacchami. Kudo mya Kudo jabagudo Thadu, thadu, thadu. Kudo emya. Kudo zabagudo. Thadu, thadu, thadu. Kudo emya. Kudo zabagudo. Dadu, dadu, dadu. Okay, so that is our meditation class and teachings for today, especially courtesy of my teacher, Sayadaw Otamasara. The coming days in this week, we will look more at these teachings and we will unpack them and explore them together. So I hope that you will all find the time to participate in that. And we will leave the space open today. If anyone does have a question or to share their experience of meditation, you can feel welcome to share and express your mind, your understanding, and of course to take your leave when you're ready. All right?
That was wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing. And yeah, I was definitely feeling pretty anxious today, so I'm feeling super calm now. Um, and yeah, powerful stuff. One question I have is the Buddhist chanting at the end. Could you just explain briefly what that is?
Sure. So the first part is we are recognizing the glory, the profundity of the ability to become enlightened. Okay, so the ability to transcend our suffering. And this is, in this way, paying respect to the Buddha or the Buddha mind. This is what, Buddha is dust. We would have to scour the universe to put the Buddha back together, and even then he wouldn't be alive. He would just be a pile of dust. So when we chant Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, it is to recognize and to lift up the profundity of the Buddha's awakening, which represents enlightenment. The Buddha represents enlightenment. And the capacity that we all have to become enlightened. That's what the Buddha represents. We don't worship the Buddha because, well, we use the word worship different in Asia than we do in the West. So worshiping a god or something like that is not the worship that we offer to the Buddha, but it's more a reverence, an appreciation, and a lifting up of what the Buddha represents. So that's the Namo Tassa. Then we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So these are considered to be the three jewels in Buddhism, the three most wonderful diamonds of Buddhism. So that is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Buddha is, as I described, represents that embodied ability to become enlightened. And also the Buddha, who was a person who lived, who embodied that. But also the Buddha in our own mind, our Buddha nature. Secondly, we take refuge in the Dhamma, that is the Buddhist teachings, and that is viewing all phenomena through detachment so that all phenomena are Dhammas. All phenomena are supporting factors for us to see into the truth, rather than relying on the created truth. So we can see into the original truth rather than the created truth. The created truth is based on attachment, stories, desire, and aversion, but viewing all phenomena, mental and physical, with detachment means that every sensation is a Dhamma. It is this kind of supporting factor to bring us back on the path, but especially the Dhamma is the Buddhist teachings or the truth teachings. Okay? And then finally, the Sangha is the community of well-minded practitioners, and especially the Buddhist monks and nuns. So we take refuge in the Buddha, our ability to become enlightened, and the embodiment of that, of Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha of this age. We take refuge in the Dhamma, the Buddhist teachings, rather than, Tim and Joe down on the street corner who like to spit some advice. We take refuge in the Buddhist teachings, the Dhamma, the truth teachings. And finally, we take refuge in the community of well-minded practitioners on the path, rather than, people who also drink beer. We don't take refuge in the people at the bar. We take refuge in the Buddhist monks and nuns. We take refuge in the community of meditation practitioners, sincere practitioners. And then finally, the Gudo Emya, this is the sharing the merit. So surely most people experience when we do a meditation class like this, a community meditation event, we get a lot of merit. We get a lot of good effects from our good deeds, our skillful activities. And so this final part is to share the merit with all beings, not to keep to ourselves, but to share, to offer out in all directions that goodness that we have cultivated. The good fruits from our good seeds we share. We don't just keep for ourselves.
Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it, and I'll certainly be back probably tomorrow.
Great.
Have a great day or night. Are you located in Asia right now?
I'm in Los Angeles, so the night is fastly approaching.
Okay, well, it's already midnight here in Ontario, so I will bid you a farewell, but thank you again.
Welcome.
Cassiana bowing in. I want to share my gratitude for the meditation and the reading, and I hope I'll be able to join again tomorrow and in the coming days. From your reading at the beginning, it said something about us like as humans seeking pleasure, and what I was thinking about is that we do seek pleasure, but some of us, I think, like mindless eating, mindless shopping, consumerism, I think a lot of it is because we're so afraid of our suffering, and we just try to cover all the stuff by finding all these other things. So I've been thinking about that, and what I really appreciate, like about my journey in Buddhism for this year, is that I'm learning to turn my suffering into compassion. And here on my meditation table, I have a little Avalokiteshvara in female form, Guanyin, the Bodhisattva of compassion, and that's really meaningful to me. So I mostly wanted to say thank you. And I did want to ask you something. I don't know what your duties as a monk are or how long you're in Los Angeles or if you can do this, but next Monday, I have a Sangha here in my apartment. I go to a wake up Sangha twice a month for people in their 20s and 30s. And next Monday, it's meeting here in my apartment. So I was wondering if you'd be able to join us, but I don't know what your schedule is like or if you're able to do that. But I think it would be like a great treat for us to have an actual monk at our Sangha.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you're here, and I'd also be glad to join your group. We'll try to organize that in the future, but this coming Monday, I will be away in retreat at the Thich Nhat Hanh Center, the Thich Nhat Hanh Monastery. So we will arrange for another time, okay? And we can meet, and I hope that you will make more time to come here and support this community as well with your practice. I hope it can support you.
Thank you.
How do you say your name?
Bante.
Okay, thank you very much, Mate.
Okay, so everyone be happy and peaceful. And we also have a morning session, 6 a.m. LA time, which will be on Zoom with the Vietnamese group. So if you want to join for that, very well, very welcome. Okay, so see you all again soon, I hope. All right, and thank you both for joining here in person.